People who've been watching Crowdsource the Truth for a while know that I make a point of not asking or telling my guests what to say or how to say it, but I do need to start today's show with a little bit of a disclaimer. People who are sensitive to language that some might consider foul should be warned that Tina Forte does not hold back. I'm so delighted to welcome you to the show. Tina, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you know, I've seen you on Twitter, and I know you're big on TikTok, but I'm not really on TikTok so much. And the first time I saw you, I said to myself, I love this girl. Because I thought you were like 30, but you're a mother, you're a grandmother,
Grandma.
you're an outspoken activist, you're a Trump supporter, and you are a
Yes.
strong New York woman. Give us your
Thank you.
background
That's my
for
last
people
name, Forte. Forte.
Yes.
Strength, warrior, strong.
And now I saw you on a podcast from a few months ago, and I've met you in person a few times. I did not realize how incredibly yoked you are. You must be a bodybuilder or something.
No, I'm not a bodybuilder. Actually, I run Spartan races all around the United States. So I train for Spartan races. I run everywhere, Vermont,
Wow.
Boston. I run the 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles. I carry wounded warriors on the course, carry a World War II veteran in West Point. I'm very into my racing. So that's when I train, I guess my muscles grow as a part of it. And carrying 100-pound sandbags up a mountain gives you muscles too.
Yeah. So you are a woman
Yeah.
who lives up to her name. You are truly Forte. And I just met you the other day and have been so impressed by your knowledge and how outspoken you are. The thing I want to talk about primarily today, it's not a lawsuit. We want to be clear. Tell everybody about this legal proceeding that you are now involved in.
Okay, this is not a lawsuit like a civil lawsuit. This is an Article 78 proceeding, which started in Suffolk County. Okay, Suffolk County found an attorney, Carl Schwartz. Carl Schwartz is very passionate about this, and he's doing it pro bono, and it's called Noise 2020 Campaign. Okay, and they decided to go through all 62 counties. And that's when I jumped on because I know that I have a voice and a reach. So when I got in touch with the firm and the attorneys through my good friend Sal, gave me this flag behind me, gave me the picture behind me, John made the picture behind me. I love everyone I met through this movement. I have to say they're incredible people. When I jumped onto the lawsuit, I was able to bring a number of other counties forward because of my reach. So I got Richmond County, Rockland County, Westchester County. So it's a 62 county lawsuit, not a lawsuit. I want to use the word lawsuit. It's a proceeding against Cuomo and Zucker first. Now we added de Blasio to it for the 5 boroughs for their overreach and what they're doing in the pandemic. So if I can read it to you, I don't know if you want, would you want me to read it to you? Okay. So an Article 78 proceeding against Cuomo, Zucker, and de Blasio. There's 6 causes of action. We added a 7th. So some of the counties do have nursing homes added to it now. So it's schools, universities, arts, sports, gym, school sports, theater, performances, business owners, religious. They started including nursing homes. We are asking the courts to step in and stop imposing the restrictions on all of the above. They violate federal and New York constitutional laws. You know, King Cuomo. King Cuomo thinks he's the king, and he's not. He's not a king. He's a communist. Can I say it?
You say whatever you want.
Commie cunt. He's a fucking commie cunt. Okay, and he's corrupt on top of it. So I call him the 3 C's. Okay, and then you got, and it's just a disgrace how he's using the COVID pandemic to weaponize New Yorkers, shutting our businesses down. Okay, the things that he's doing. Our city has been broke for a long time, especially under his fucked up leadership. Okay, and we're not suing for money. Okay, we want the courts to look at the state and federal constitution, and we want to go back to normal. Show us the statistics. Same thing with Max Bar. Show us one COVID case that came out of that bar. Show us, because you go to Walmart, you know what? Let's have a Christmas party in aisle 31 in Walmart since everybody's allowed, right? But you can't gather here, and you can't gather over 10, and you can't invite your family over to your house. It's disgusting what he's doing. And now he wants to give everybody, wants a sign that everyone's getting a vaccine. I'm not taking your freaking vaccine. Your fucking vaccine, Cuomo. Okay, you'll have to come ring my bell and try and get it in my arm yourself. Over my dead body, I take that vaccine because you almost tried to kill me already.
Well, now let's tell everybody about that, because
I
Yeah,
just
no,
ran.
that's good.
Sorry.
But you've just mentioned that he almost killed you. And that's
Yes,
not a joke. That's not
that's not a
hyperbole.
joke. That's
You
true.
had COVID-19.
I
Tell us
had
about
COVID.
that.
Okay, I turned 50 in March, on March 7th to be exact. People dox me, so I don't care. My birthday's March 7th, and a week after that, I started not feeling well. I had a fever of 104.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, my throat was, it was weird. It wasn't like a real sore throat. It was just like somebody was scratching the back of my throat. I had a migraine headache, and I had very bad congestion in my chest. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, you know what, Tina, I'm going to give you a COVID test. I know it's not the flu. They check me for the flu and strep on the rapid test. So he says, we're going to give you a COVID test. When I came home and told my family, they're like, no, you can't have that. There's no way you have that. Next thing you know, they call me back. They're like, Tina, you test. And it was the original test. It went up both
Up the
nostrils.
nose. Mm.
Yes. Okay. So the doctor says, I'm going to call you in the hydroxychloroquine, and I'm going to call you in the Z-Pack. My pharmacy calls me. Okay. Pharmacy calls me, and I got the prescription, Governor Cuomo. I have it. Have the prescription right here. Okay? And it's highlighted.
From your doctor.
From my doctor. Okay?
Licensed
From the
in New
pharmacy.
York to be a medical
Licensed
doctor.
in New York. Okay, I had the right to try it, even if I didn't have what this medication is supposedly used for. I had the right to try. Just like when my son was 7 and they put him on an experimental medicine for what he has, which is a severe eczema, and they put him on tacrolimus. I had the right to try this. He denied it, came back denied. It's right here, and I have the executive order where he denied it, highlighted, right
Now,
here.
wait a minute. So, Tina, this right to try is a relatively new law. It was passed under President
By
Trump.
President Trump.
You apply, and then they can choose whether you get that right or not? How does that work?
No, a doctor writes you a prescription, you just get to take it.
Wow.
If a doctor
How could
writes
they
you a
stop it?
prescription, he wrote an executive order, Cuomo. I have it right here. Okay.
Wow.
So I didn't get to take it. I argued back and forth. The pharmacist was like, Tina, there's nothing I can do. I called the doctor. The doctor says, there's nothing I can do. He just signed the executive order. So what happened to me 3 days later? My family had to call 911 because I was hunched over, and I ended up being picked up by an ambulance where I had double pneumonia and blood clotting, Governor Cuomo.
In your
3 days
lungs? Blood clotting?
Yeah, double pneumonia.
You could die from that.
Blood clotting. So when I went into the hospital, I was in really bad shape. Oxygen was 86. I happened to get very lucky. I had 2 doctors that were treating me, and I just kept asking them, am I going to die? Am I going to die? And they couldn't answer me.
Oh, my
So
God.
somebody's looking me in the face and not answering you, and I have nobody now. They're not letting my family in with me, so I'm by myself. And the doctor says, let's try her on forced oxygen. Let's not ventilate. Now they're doing it, and they're going, oh, we need to, her blood is clotting. They try to take the blood. So they try to take the blood out of my arm, but it was like molasses. It was so thick. So then they had to start me on that heparin. Is that what they call it? For the blood thinner? Yeah. So they put me on the blood thinner, and then the doctor says, ventilate. How one doctor says, no, do the forced oxygen. So they put this thing around my face like Hannibal Lecter, and it just forced oxygen into my lungs.
Wow.
And my oxygen, and I thank God that I do race and that I'm healthy.
Right.
Because the forced oxygen raised my oxygen from 86 to 91. So they didn't ventilate me.
Wow.
Thank God. So the doctor says, okay, let's leave her in ICU overnight. Let's see how oxygen does on the forced oxygen. And they had all IVs to me. Still never got the hydroxychloroquine, even in the hospital. They weren't allowed to give it to me in the hospital. The only thing they gave me in the hospital were 2 antibiotics, medication for my headache, the blood thinner for the one night. And basically that was it. That's all I got. So it took me 2 weeks in the hospital of oxygen for me to start getting better. It was just the virus taking its course.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Blood clotting in the lungs is so dangerous.
Blood clotting, yeah.
So this right to try law, Tina, it's U.S. state laws and a federal law were created with the intent of allowing terminally ill patients, which you easily could have been, given what you've just described, access to experimental therapies that have completed phase 1 testing. So hydroxychloroquine is not even an experimental therapy because it's been widely used for so many years.
That's my point. Even without the right to try, I should have been, my doctor prescribed me that medication. They don't ask you. It should have been given. It should have been dispensed. And he
Absolutely.
signed the executive order and it wasn't dispensed. And you want to know why he did it? It's because he doesn't like President Trump. And that's it. That's all it's about. It's about his hatred for President Trump. Okay. Just like he sent all those poor nursing home patients back to their deaths. I call him a murderer. And I feel that he attempted murder on my life too, on anyone he signed this executive order on. And I'd say it to his face, but I never get the chance because he doesn't put up his schedule. So I never get to go see him. Listen,
You
I
would
all I want to
bulldoze
do,
that guy.
I have the right, my First Amendment. So if he's standing there, I should be able, the way he talks about people and he calls out President Trump, I have the right to be in his face and tell him about himself. He doesn't even do that because he hides. He hides in New York from everybody. He does his press conference behind a computer. You'll never see him outside. You'll never see him put up a schedule for a ribbon cutting or anything. Him and Dick Blasio, he's another one. Because I went to his mansion, Dick Blasio's, a couple of weeks ago to feed the needy. He blocked off every block to get to his mansion. He didn't let one homeless person or needy person come down to feed. Not one. He blocked it all off. Mayor Dick Blasio. He doesn't help nobody.
I'll tell you what, I would fireman carry you in a triathlon to Albany to see you tell Cuomo. He sits there saying, do not be obnoxious in your tone. Yeah. I mean, he was laughing on TV.
He's so condescending. He talks down to everybody. You know, I just want to go to him with my paperwork. And I just have a lot of questions. Why? Why do you have businesses locked down? Give us the statistics. Why are you locking schools down? Why does my 6-year-old granddaughter have to wear a mask to attend school when already the seats are 6 feet apart, when already the classroom's at half capacity? And you want to know something? At first, I did argue with the school district about it, but he doesn't provide any help to anyone. Okay, he just sits there. It's all about himself, his ego, his writing his book about all the murders he created in New York. He murdered so many people, and New York is sunk. New York's at its lowest, and he goes and writes a book. Why didn't he write a truthful book?
Yeah.
So
and it's also shameful that the Emmys awarded him during all this. Really terrible.
That's all I got to say. The Emmys.
Let me just take you back to the Article 78 proceedings, because all the things that you're describing are reprehensible, but it definitely seems like Carl Schwartz is onto this, because people in the comments are saying, sue Cuomo, this and that. As egregious as these things are, he cannot be sued for acting in his capacity as governor. He has immunity from all of this stuff.
Right, but this isn't a lawsuit. This is a proceeding. Right. See, that's the difference.
Exactly.
Right. That's the difference. Right. That's what people don't understand. That's the difference. You know, that is, you got it. That's the difference.
And what is it that you hope to come about as a result of this?
Go back to normal. We want to go back to normal. We will open up, stop the lockdown, stop the lockdowns. Stop it. Enough is enough. He just wants to control us. Like I said, King Cuomo, the dictator. He's a dick, all right, but he's not a dictator. Yeah, he's a dick.
He put the dick in dictator. I like to call him Il Duce, is what I like to call him. But now, you and I met in Staten Island at Mac's Pub, but you're not from Staten Island.
No, I'm not. I'm from the Bronx, and I live in Rockland County. I have a house both in Rockland County and in the Bronx.
I was born in the Bronx. See, I knew I connected with you.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's terrible what's going on. See, this whole thing with these guys having immunity is very troubling because, you know, I was back over at Mac's Public House last night, and a lot of people have been following the story. Danny Presti, one of the owners of the bar, has now apparently been set up, it appears. We're still waiting for full details.
That's what it looks like to me. They're all in black. They were waiting on the corner for him. You're going to tell me, let me tell you something. If two men ran at me and jumped on the hood of my car, dressed all in black, what do you think? What's any regular person going to do? You're going to stop and say, here, come in. Let's go for coffee.
Right. From what I understand from hearing his lawyer and also Johnny Tobacco, they didn't identify themselves as law enforcement. They just shouted his name and started chasing after him. He's obviously very nervous. There's a lot of people, potentially Antifa or whoever, who might want to do harm.
Just like I get them. I get death threats all the time. I get the death threats. And that's another thing with Cuomo, okay? It was okay when, you know, he wants to say that you know, everyone has to have a consequence for their actions. Where were the consequences for BLM and Antifa when they burned looted in all the small businesses. Where were their consequences? There were no consequences for them, but there's consequences for small businesses, people that want to earn a living and put a roof over their head. That's who they're coming after. Okay, he comes after people like that. Want to know why? Because we, the people, never fought back. See, we're the quiet ones. You understand? But now we're fighting back. We're fighting back the right way, the legal way. And yeah, you know what? We do protest. But not one protest have I been at that there was ever a looting, no stores are burnt down, nothing. It's always their side. It's always their side. Okay. Just like when I went to the march in DC, it was a disgrace what Antifa did after that march. And I'm going back December 12th too. They shot fireworks at us. They beat old people up. Where are their consequences? Why is it always us on the right that have to get the consequences? How come it's never them? The politicians that want us to listen to them, but they don't do it. They don't wear masks. They don't social distance. You had Chuck Schumer in the street screaming when, the president-elect, the office of the president-elect, came out, when the news media called the presidency. They turned around and he's out in the street. We're going to change America with tons of thousands of people around him. Is he kidding me? It's do as they say, not as they do. You understand? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's terrible. And Tina, one of the most egregious things that happened right in line with what you're talking about, when they had this city hall autonomous zone where a bunch of filthy looking, hippie leftists were rolling around. This is not social distancing. And,
No.
as I advance into the park here, you're going to see a bunch of people who are defecating in the park. I'm not criticizing for people for not wearing masks.
No.
I think people should make that decision for themselves.
For
But the way
themselves.
that they point out that we're having events without masks, look at these people have the mask around their neck, pulled over their face. They take them down to yell at you.
And were any of them arrested? Were any of them fined
No.
the way they do to the small businesses? None of them. That's the whole problem that we have right now. It's they can do whatever they want. They can have autonomous zones. They can go anywhere, do whatever they want. They don't get fines, nothing. They can burn, loot, riot, murders are up, everything's up, no consequences for them. They go to jail, they come back out, they rob a bank, they go home, they brush their teeth, half of them probably don't. They come back out, rob another bank, and that's how it goes.
Yes.
That's literally how it goes.
Now look at the details here, though. We've got people who set up little encampments with lawn furniture. I'm about to approach the smorgasbord where they were giving out,
Wow.
lasagna and
God
salad.
bless you for doing all that.
Danny's got a restaurant that's
amazing.
obviously, they've got a liquor license. They've been checked out by the Department of Health. They have an HVAC system. Here you got people, who knows who's making this food, what the sanitary conditions are. They're just, everything is free and socialist paradise where you can defecate in City Hall. Park here, nothing happened. They encourage this.
Nothing. Yeah, they do. They do encourage it, and it's a disgrace. And you know what? They all need to be held accountable. They need to answer for what they're doing to us. They really do, but they don't. They don't. No one holds them accountable. That's why we started this action. They need to be held accountable. They're overreaching. They're using COVID as weapons against us, and we want the court to step in and tell them enough. No more lockdowns. Let's go back to normal. Show the statistics. You want to shut down a business? Prove that there were 6 cases in there. Prove it. They don't. They just get to sit there and dictate all day long with his pen and paper and write executive order after executive order after executive order. He don't get to make laws. Cuomo doesn't get to make the laws. He just signs an executive order. And we're all supposed to obey. Shut up and obey. That's what the mask means. Shut up and obey.
That's exactly right. Now, I don't know if you're familiar. I know you've just become familiar with Crowdsource the Truth, but you've just said something that's quite important. Every Friday, I do a show with David Hawkins, who is an incredibly brilliant esoteric genius, and he's been looking quite a bit into the British Broadcasting Company. This is a statue on the BBC's Broadcasting House headquarters in London. It appears to be this sort of bizarre, sexualized image of a Christ-like figure being accosted by these 2 angels, and they're holding a book that says Absculta, which means listen and obey.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're putting out propaganda, and David and I have been drawing connections between the entertainment industry, the news industry, these Emmys.
It's all propaganda. That's all it is. It's propaganda. The news it's no more news anymore. It's no more journalism anymore.
Yeah.
You bring real journalism. I watch Newsmax now for my news. I stopped watching everything else because it's you can't rely on them. It's all propaganda. Look what they did election night. Look what they did for the last 4 years to our president.
Mm.
It's a disgrace. He's been fighting for us for 4 years against all odds. Against all odds. Everyone's against him. And he
Hmm.
stands and he fights for us.
Now, Tina,
And
I
I'm
know
very
you said
passionate.
you are absolutely passionate, and I think that's what people connect with you on so much. Just back to Carl Schwartz for a moment. You
Yeah.
said that he's not suing for money, but how is he financing this effort? Obviously, he has a staff and an
Okay.
office.
We have, yes, there's a GoFundMe page. It's a GoFundMe page. It's called Noise 2020 Campaign. It's actually on my Facebook page, the link. And if you donate just for the filing fees, he's not charging, he's doing it pro bono. But there is a GoFundMe page.
There we
That's it.
go.
There you go. Say Noise. It
I
started
can't get
off
to
as just
Facebook anymore. I've been kicked off.
it started off as just a school or school
Ah.
suit, and then he just kept adding to it and adding to it. Honestly, you should really get in touch with him because he's very brilliant, and I think he would speak with you.
Oh, yeah. I think we should have
Yeah,
him on next
yeah,
and
you should
follow
have
this
him on
case
next.
closely.
Yes,
So you said you have a
yes.
7-year-old grandson or granddaughter?
I have a 6-year-old granddaughter and a 4-year-old granddaughter,
And
and my 6-year-old granddaughter lives with me. And
how are they responding to this?
right now, she's all remote. She gets to go back to school Thursday. They did a long pause after Thanksgiving, but when school had first started, they started with certain alphabets. So A to G went to school on Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday was just like everyone's off, and you do the special on a Zoom. And then Thursday and Friday, the other half of her class is in school and she's home. So the
Wow.
schools are already at half capacity. They're social distancing, but they're wearing a mask. Not only are they wearing a mask, they're going outside on the playground and they're wearing a mask. So I think you know my personality by now. I had problems with the school district because when you go pick up the children from the school, the desks are outside because I don't put my granddaughter on a bus. I drive her. I don't like buses. It's just my personal thing.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so there's desks outside and you sign the name and you stand there and wait. All the parents are standing apart. Principal approaches me and goes, "You need to put your mask on." I go, "No, I don't." She goes, "Yeah, you do." I go, "I'm not putting a mask on. I have antibodies." She said, "I have my paperwork on me. I have a
Right.
medical note exempted me from masks." I didn't
Ah.
have to get that medical note, but I have it. I carry it with me and my pocket constitution. And I said to her very nicely, "Would you want to see my paperwork?" Well, she says, "I don't care about your paperwork." That's all she had to do. It was game on. I was like, "Now you're going to care about my fucking paperwork." Boom. I went live and I caused the CEO filming everybody, and just it turned into like a big to do, and made a couple of videos about it, and they weren't too happy. And
Wow.
a detective called me up and was like,
What?
came in.
A detective called you up.
A detective
I've
called
been
'cause
assaulted 6 times since this thing started. I've had
yeah,
people 2, 3 years ago come to my apartment broadcasting my address. I've been cyber stalked and harassed. I can't get a detective to call me. You go to pick up your
yeah,
kid at
there's,
school, and suddenly the
yeah.
detectives are on you.
Detective called me and they're like, Tina, you have this video on Instagram and there's a lot of bad comments underneath it, but we see you have like 70,000 followers. And I said, "I'm not taking the video down. If that's what you're asking, I'm not taking the video down. I don't have to
Wow.
take that." He goes, "No, we're not asking for you to take the video down. We just, do know a few of these people because, people make comments. I said, "I don't know anybody personally. You see, I don't follow that many people back. I don't have the time to." And yeah, he's like that middle finger of Biden, right? Um, yeah, you know what? And it just turned into like a little back and forth thing. And then the school district, my friends from Staten Island, Eddie and Jen, they came to the school to support me. I had to go up to the school with an attorney and a bodyguard because you just never
What?
know. And yeah, I went up there because, after the phone calls and everything and on all the shit that was going on behind the scenes, I said, "Let me just go up there," because I had a cease and desist letter I was ready to hand over to the school. But the school said, "Okay, if you stay on the sidewalk without your mask, we'll walk your granddaughter to you." So you know what? I says, "Okay, it's 2 days a week. I can live with that. But you want to know something? I'm very boisterous. As soon as my granddaughter walks out the school building, I yell out, 'Take your mask off, Adriana!' Yell at her, 'Take your mask off. Come to me. Come on.'" And then
Wow.
walk on away. And this is like a little, like you see this shirt, the hoodie. this is like a little journey, I guess you can say, that happened with, I have a business in the Bronx. I don't want to go much into it because I have a business in the Bronx. It's a beverage distributorship, and I had to lay off 15 people.
Oh,
And how do people, how do you feed people and your workers and everything? The PPP loans, that wasn't enough. So through my little journey that I wanted to do a blog on about between having COVID and everything else and capitalism. So I made myself a little store just to help me so I can go out, so I can leave my house. So it helps put gas in my car. It helps
wow.
me travel. I don't ask for anybody to pay for my hotel rooms. So I go to DC, that little store that I have, it helps. It helps me pay for the gas. I don't ask people for donations when I go out. I never ask people for money, but people would approach me and say, we love what you say. Why don't you make a shirt? We love what you say. Why don't you make a mug? So I took all my little sayings and my web designer put it on socks and mugs and stuff.
It's a great stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
Middle finger socks.
Yeah.
I love it.
And the profit I make gets me around to where, I pay, when I park, I won't go to Manhattan. I don't take a train. I park, so the parking fees and everything. So it was like a little bit, I learned a lot through this COVID, boy, between almost dying and then, everything that's going on with the masks in the schools and just getting to really, you get to really know people. Through this
I want to address an issue, though,
make great
Tina,
friends.
because, there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, her message would be this or that if she didn't. Here's my thing. I super appreciate people with pure hearts and dirty mouths, much more so than the other way around. So anybody who's in the comments saying, oh, don't say foul words, you tell them what to do.
I say
Tina.
them.
You tell them what to do. Exactly.
Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
It's serious.
And that's how one of my videos started, with the Trump 2020 motherfucker, fuck out of here. My one rant that went viral was the one when I went after Cuomo after I went for my 3-month post-COVID visit. But the one before that went viral was I was just walking with my weight vest, trying to get like my lungs back, breathing. I'm walking down the block. I was put all over BLM pages, and Jesus and Nero came after me. Douchebag fucking Michael Rappaport.
Robert De Niro came after you?
No. Jesus and Nero.
Oh.
It's a Showtime show. And that douchebag Michael Rappaport, insert penis here. That's what I say on his face. Anyway.
He used to live in the same apartment building with a friend of mine from college. He was constantly trying to date my friend.
He bullies women. So they all started with me and they made a page about me. A bunch of people got together and they made a page exposing racism in Jersey. And I'm going to tell you why they did Jersey. They did Jersey because I train in Jersey. That's where I go to my boot camp.
But you don't say anything racist. You're just cursing at Cuomo.
I don't say anything racist. I'm just cursing at Cuomo, and I cursed about how dare you say that I can't leave my house, but yet during the George Floyd incident that happened, that was a tragedy that happened, that you have millions of people marching in the streets, not social distancing. I just got home from the hospital, I almost died from the COVID. And here you are with your double standards, always double standards on the left. Okay, that's always what it is. You see? And see?
It's amazing.
He's a fucking dick. So he did 2 podcasts on me, and I went back at him with a couple of videos. So he came back, he took the video that I made of him. He posted the video on Brian Monarch's page, his butt buddy, Brian Monarch. Okay. And what they did was he morphed my face into President Trump's a couple of times, and you hear me cursing at. He did 2 videos like that of me. But he says, hurry up, 911, someone just, the 911, there's an animal loose in the Bronx. Somebody call 911, bring her back to the Bronx Zoo. Because I go in. When I go in, I go in. I don't hold back. So I cursed, I called him everything from pussy, come at me, motherfucker. I called him every name you could think of. And he's a douchebag.
I tell you what, he peaked at Dick Ritchie from where I sit. He's not funny anymore. I liked him in that movie where he was Brad Pitt's roommate. But other than that, I mean...
No, he's a dick. He just what he does is he bullies women. Because he'll never bully a man. But you know what? I'd like to get into a ring with him because I think I could kick his ass.
I think you're right.
I think I could kick his ass.
What about him inviting you onto his podcast? Because here's the thing.
He didn't invite me on. That's the thing. He had 2 podcasts about me, and he never invited me on. And I told him, you're a pussy. Have me on. Let's sit side by side. I have Zoom by Zoom, and let's have it out. Nope. Still to this day, he still hasn't invited me on.
That's really
Maybe
terrible.
when I get a podcast, maybe if I get a podcast, I'll invite him on.
I
Let's
don't
see if he
understand
takes
why
me
you
up
don't
on
have
it.
a podcast.
I don't know either.
Well, you're very busy, of course. And see, the thing that's so interesting about you, Tina, is that a lot of people, maybe they see these things from Michael Rappaport. I know the reason why he won't have you on, because it's very easy to take an isolated video of you saying some, bad words and getting very excited and then try and paint you in some kind of light. But even just in the few minutes that you and I have spoken off camera, I'm discovering so many things about you. There's such a depth to your personality and the experience that you've had in going through this as a mom, as a COVID-19 victim. I mean, how many people, or recovering patient is what I meant to say. How many people can say that?
And I have another thing to tell you about COVID-19 also.
Yeah.
It's about 8 months, almost 9 months. I still have antibodies, and you know how they claimed, why they make such a big thing out of everything. Why, you can't leave the house. You have to wear a mask. I have antibodies. I still do. I got them checked at 3 months. I got them checked again at 6 months, and I got them checked again before I went to Florida when I was invited by AmFest to go speak in October. I still have my antibodies. Okay. My point of that is saying that, once you have an antibody, you're immune. Even if it doesn't, even if you don't detect it in your blood, my doctor explained to me that it attaches onto your T4 cells. So you're immune for life. So I'm not taking your vaccine. I have antibodies. So if I don't want to wear a mask, I feel it's a choice. If you're afraid, then stay home. If you're not afraid, then you go out. Don't shame me. Don't try and shame me, because I won't deal with it. Oh, Bernie Carrick, he's great.
He's been on the show.
He gave me a shout out in this video. He was on stage. He says, more people need to be like Tina Forte.
Because he gets it. He gets it.
Yeah.
There are women like you who choose to express themselves. And the thing is, this is also true of Donald Trump. If people aren't from New York.
I love him. He's the best.
Right. And the thing is, if people aren't from New York, I think there's a certain kind of sarcasm, a certain kind of way of expressing yourself that seems a bit maybe hard-hitting to some people, and they see it as aggressive or whatever, but it's just the way.
Just really, I mean, those are the sensitive people. They just really give it up already. I'm so tired of hearing about you can't use this word and you can't use that word and who's offended. I don't get offended. Nothing offended. People go, Tina, they curse you out and you leave the comments sitting there, because what am I going to do? I'm not going to argue back to them in the comments. I'm not going to stoop to their level. So they say something about me, then they say it about me. What am I going to do? If you approach me, if I say something about you and you're man enough to approach me on it and I'll post it like certain people do, I'll say I said it. That's
Absolutely.
my personality. There aren't many people like that. There really aren't.
Correct.
A lot of people are in this. Just it's all about them. It's all about their group. I'm more of a uniter. I'm trying to bring New York, get New Yorkers loud and proud. I don't just at first, no one even knew I came from Rockland County, that I live here. No one knew I came from the Bronx. People thought I was from Staten Island. People thought I was from Brooklyn. People thought I was from Long Island. Nobody, because I don't go out there and just advocate for the Bronx or just advocate for that. I advocate for everyone, all New Yorkers. I don't have a group that's named after the Bronx or a group that's named after a certain area. It's New Yorkers. New Yorkers need to unite. Stop doing things in your own area. Come out of your fucking sandbox. And let's do this, New York, because we have a long battle ahead of us. We got to get rid of Cuomo and de Blasio. They're destroying us. New Yorkers need to come together. And that's why I feel this this action, this Article 78 will bring New Yorkers together. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping more people come out.
I think it will.
My name leads Rockland County, that I can tell you I wasn't afraid to put myself on paper. My name's right there first on the Rockland County one.
Right, and this is not the actual filing. This is just a document
that we... That's not the actual filing. That's just a document that I sent you.
Just a document we prepared for the show, exactly. But, I mean, you are showing people that there is way more depth and so much energy behind what you're doing. You were also at this, we were at Rockefeller Plaza on Sunday here, and you were kind of leading the crowd. We had a Donald Trump impersonator there who was really funny and great.
Tommy, that's Tommy Monday. He's awesome.
Really good energy at that. And there's really a community coming together now in New York of people who are trying to push this.
My flag drop. Dion makes the big, huge Trump flags, a 50 by 75 that we walk with. I mean, I've met such beautiful people through this movement. I made friends. I have friends now for life that I consider friends for life family than people I grew up with. I mean, there were a few people I grew up with, my girlfriend Gina. Um, she's like the only one that knew I had COVID. Like I didn't post it. I didn't be like, oh my God, I have COVID. Pray for me. Or, I have COVID. Nobody knew I had COVID. The only reason why my girlfriend Gina knew I had COVID because I was out with her for my birthday the week before, and like I kind of went missing, and she called me up, and I was like, "Hello," with all the oxygen and stuff, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, Tina!" But you know, I met actually real people through this movement, friends, people I consider family, for real.
That's great.
And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my voice. As much as some people hate it, I'm grateful for my voice. Now
I love it.
that I get to use it.
Yeah. And it's the powerful voice that everybody needs. You know, this mayor is so antagonistic, Tina. He not only painted the Black Lives Matter mural down by City Hall, which I felt was okay. He wants to express support.
I went there. We went to City Hall with the big flag. We went there. God.
Yeah. But this one in front of Trump Tower, I think, was just blatant antagonism and frankly dangerous, irresponsible, and just about the stupidest thing a mayor or any person could have done. He had to know that this was going to create fights, attract protests, counter-protests, disrupting, putting pressure on the cops.
That's all he's about. Then he goes into his Gracie mansion, and he just sits there like the jerk off that he is. And honestly, the both of them, they don't even get along. They hate each other. Cuomo and de Blasio, they fucking hate each other. That's hysterical. They're not even on the same page. They're laughable. One's saying they closed down the school. Cuomo goes on a news conference, doesn't know that Dick Blasio shut the schools down. It's like a comedy thing. You know how Cuomo tried to do that with Fredo, his brother Fredo?
And then last night with Fauci.
Fredo. Yeah, fuckface Fredo. Then you got Fauci too. But they go and they try to do like a comedy skit. They're not fucking funny, all right?
No, they're not.
I laugh at them because I feel sorry for our city and our state and what they're doing. But they're laughable because they're two fucking clowns. I don't know how they got into office. All the jerk-offs have voted for them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get them voted out. It is pretty disconcerting.
There's no recall in New York. There's no recall law in New York.
I know. That's what I was going to say.
I looked,
and so,
I tried.
as we said at the beginning of the conversation, you know, this Article 78 action is a very smart way to go, but it causes me to wonder, like at what point, obviously the guy's immune from taking action as governor, but what if he orders somebody to kill a person? I mean, there's got to be a limit to that.
Yeah. Yes, there is. And hopefully the courts will step in. Yeah. Hopefully, because he's a very brave attorney. He's wonderful. I met him in person. I met him Saturday. He's a wonderful man. He's got his own personal story that everyone will get to hear about once everyone starts picking up on this. I'm so glad that you're covering this because we don't get many people to come out to cover anything like this. It's always, it's always the other side that gets the coverage. It's never the good causes that get the coverage. And
Talori wants you to run for president, Tina. You could crack the glass ceiling.
Imagine that. I'd be like, what's up, motherfuckers? This is what we're going to do today. All right.
Wait, hey, Putin. What would you say to Putin? No, we don't have to go there.
I don't want to go there.
No, but I do want to come back because someone is saying that they agree with what I say, except for Trump. And here's the thing. I like Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump. I want him to be president again for another 4 years. There's things that he's done that concern me. I do not like William Barr. He was the outside counsel for the CIA, seems to be covering up a lot of things. Nobody's been arrested. We just had, prior to going on air, President Trump was having his warp speed vaccine summit. I think a lot of people in New York are concerned about mandatory vaccines.
Yes.
I will note that President Trump said the vaccine...
He used the word if. You want it, you can have it.
Available for everyone who wants it.
Who wants it. That's the difference in the words. Available, who wants it. We don't want it in New York, some of us, but Cuomo's going to force it upon us, and we're going to fight him on it. I know I'm not taking it.
Well, right.
And my kids aren't taking it. No one in my house is taking it.
And we got to be really careful too, because YouTube might even just shut the channel down for even talking about something like this. But I don't know if you had a chance to see several months ago. You might have seen a piece of it because it actually went around quite a bit. But, at the kind of height of the pandemic when everybody wasn't really sure what was going to happen, I just figured, maybe Dersh is just like sitting at home doing nothing. Let me call him up and see what the hell he has to say. And he said a lot of dumb stuff. He referred to a over 100-year-old Supreme Court ruling called Jacobson v. Massachusetts, in which a Swedish immigrant refused to take a mandatory smallpox vaccine. And Mr. Dershowitz was arguing that because it was ruled that he had to pay this $5 fine for refusing the vaccine, that this enabled, through the state's powers of the Constitution, for the government to force you to be vaccinated. And he hung up and freaked out and almost had like a conniption before I could really get to my argument, which he was talking about a vaccine that had been in use for 106 years by the time the ruling came up. So there was a large body of medical information, number of people who have had it, lots of, they knew how safe it was, how effective it was. It wasn't this experimental messenger RNA, DNA altering thing that was rushed into production and never been tested before. And I don't blindly support everything that Donald Trump does. I don't think we should abolish the Communications Decency Act, Section 230. I think we should compel the Department of Justice to enforce it and just strip it away from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and whoever else might actually be editors and publishers of content rather than network operator. But we do want people who operate, like we don't want Verizon to get sued if somebody calls somebody up and threatens them on the phone. That's not the way that works. We just want equal protection under the law.
Right.
But Dershowitz raised this point that was then reiterated by the New York State Bar when they put out some kind of vote saying that they supported the idea of a mandatory vaccine. Now, let me ask you this, Tina. When you were extremely ill with COVID-19, feeling like you might die, did you call a bunch of lawyers to ask them what you should do?
No.
Right. So who cares what the lawyers say about a vaccine?
I don't care what the lawyers say about a vaccine. I care about how I feel and what I want. See, this is where they're taking that from us. They're not giving us any rights to choose at all anymore. They're forcing you to wear. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to wear your mask. If I didn't have the COVID, I wouldn't wear a mask anyway because I can't breathe in them. I don't like breathing in my own air. I think they're disgusting, filled with bacteria. I just don't like face coverings. I run Spartan races all over the place. I run through mud. I swim under the mud. It's just, I don't know. That is disgusting seeing these kids in masks. I get mentally ill when I see my granddaughter come out of school with a mask on her face.
That's the next thing I wanted to ask you is how
There's
are the children, these are not
out.
your kids, this is just a random picture from the internet,
kids, yeah.
But how are your kids responding to the masks, the lockdown, being restricted from seeing their friends? This is a really formative period of their life and this is being taken from them.
No, it is. Like my granddaughter loves gymnastics and she wanted to be a cheerleader this year. That was taken from her because you can't do that. I have another son who's 17 who's doing full remote learning, because every school is different. It's very hard. These kids don't get to do anything. They're really suffering. Suicides are up. These kids, you're taking their whole childhood away from them. You're not letting them do anything. I mean, like Christmas is coming. I'm not putting my granddaughter on Santa's lap wearing a mask. That to me is not normal. Like, what do you do? They're like, look at what they're doing. But I guarantee you, if Cuomo or de Blasio or Pelosi or the rest of them, I bet you their Santa Clauses and their grandchildren don't have masks on when they take their fucking pictures. That I can bet.
Exactly.
Okay, because she didn't have a mask when she went to the fucking salon. Gruesome Newsom didn't have a fucking mask when he was sitting with 22 fucking people at a restaurant. You got that douchebag Governor Murphy who was sitting outside with a crowded restaurant eating with people. I mean, look what they do. You have Cuomo who walks his dog without a mask. You have fucking de Blasio standing online to vote with his mask down, eating a slice of pizza. I'm surprised he didn't have his fucking fork and knife with him because he eats his pizza just like a jerk off too. Excuse me, I go on rants every now and then.
No, I like it. But this liberal Santa made kids cry after refusing to give him a Nerf gun for Christmas. You certainly don't take your children to the mall to meet Santa Claus so that he can project his morality on them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how do you do that? Yeah, that is. Oh, what this world is coming to is a disgrace. I mean, I remember growing up, riding my little. I was a tomboy. Maybe that's why I am the way I am now. I was on my what do you call those? The Hot Wheels.
Big
Hot
wheels.
Wheels, fast.
The big
Yeah,
wheels.
the big wheels as fast as I can going down my alleyway. I used to drive through the water puddles, have it splash all over me. Playing Ringolario, flashlight tag. You don't hear any of that anymore. And you want to know one thing I learned?
What?
Just before COVID hit, think about this. Before COVID hit, what were they complaining about the most? What they want the kids to stop doing? They wanted to take the kids off the gaming. Gaming is no good. All these kids on the computer for days at a time playing the Call of Duty and everything is no good. But what are they doing now?
Now
They're
they glue 'em
forcing
to
kids
it.
to stay on the computer 24/7. Homework, schoolwork, everything. They were fighting against it at first. You remember that? Do you remember
Yeah.
that Call of Duty isn't good? We have to take this software down. Kids shouldn't be on a game. They need to be out. These computers aren't good. All these gamings aren't good. But what are they doing to these kids? From 5 and 6, my granddaughter's 6. I have to put her on at 9 o'clock, at 10:15, at 10:45, at 11:15, at 11:45, at 12:45, at 1:40, and at 2:30. Those are her Zooms all day long. We have to sit in front of a fucking computer. It's not fucking normal, people. It's not normal.
It's not. And there's certainly been a lot of conversation about, I have friends who have young kids and it seems like they're always on the iPad to pacify them. And then everybody's concerned about the exposure to the screen time, the refresh rate of the screen, how it affects young children's eyesight and psychological development. But here, they're now being forced to do that.
Yeah. So just think about that, because that came to me at the meeting Saturday that we had with attorney with Carl Schwartz. It just something that clicked, because a woman was wearing a shirt that says classroom, not class Zoom. It was something catchy like that.
That
Yeah.
is good.
And and everything just kind of like, and I was like, wow, I remember that. They were making big deals out of certain games. And now they're forcing you to sit in front of a computer at all ages, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. These kids they're digressing. I know kids that they're digressing, that they're not moving forward. And then when they go back to school, my granddaughter goes back to school on Thursday. What? For what? They're opening the schools back up. Half capacity, masked. The first day of school, what do you want to do? You want to go see your friend smile, right?
Right.
Hey, hi, Tina. You don't see that. They're like this.
That's
what
right.
you see.
And listen, when I think back to school, it's like, sure, the time when you're sitting there listening to the teacher, you're learning whatever, math, writing, that kind of thing. But the interactions, when you're getting a toy from the toy chest or having your lunch or going to recess or whatever, those moments with your friends where you're socializing and becoming, a social human in your age group, all that stuff is stripped away. Children are not seeing these smiling faces. I mean, the age of 4 or 5, listen, I've been married twice. Everybody knows when somebody's, hey, how you feeling? I'm all right. Are you sure? You're not getting that body language when the mouth is covered. Are we now looking at an entire generation of just socially illiterate people that are going to be growing up?
Yeah, and that's what's scary, that they're taking a whole, like I said, they're taking a whole generation. They're taking the children's childhood away from them by doing this. And the sad part is that Cuomo, Pelosi, to me, they do it intentionally. They want, because I do. I think they're evil, and I stand by. I think they're evil people. They're just evil.
I'm with you. I think they are doing it intentionally. It's part of a plan to break the back of the United States of America, just in the way when somebody like Danny Presti stands up to these illegal orders, they escalate their actions to try to break his figurative back, to show anybody else who might attempt to do this, you're going to get felonies, you're going to have huge legal bills, we're going to smear you in the news. It really is a terrible, troubling thing.
Yeah. I had Cuomo's when he actually made the statement about Danny Presti. I forgot the exact statement that he made about he's gonna, the consequences for not listening to King Cuomo. like I said earlier, where were the consequences for BLM and all the rioting and all the looting? Now you want to give consequences. These small businesses, they just want to thrive. They just want to put a roof over their head. People just want to live. What is so wrong with that? Stop it. This is nonsense now. It
Right.
really is. COVID has a 99.9.7% survival rate. The reason why the deaths were so high in New York is because he sent them all back to the nursing homes. He never used the comfort. He didn't use the Javits Center. He didn't even use the hospitals in White Plains. I bet you people didn't know that there were hospitals in White Plains. I know there were hospitals in White Plains because someone in my family works in the hospitals. So I know that the hospitals in White Plains weren't used either. Okay. They were all empty while he sent all the people back to the nursing homes. He didn't put one patient in any of those ships that Donald Trump provided, in any of the hospitals that Donald Trump provided, and the Javits Center, anything. He left them empty.
Now,
and ventilators we know don't work now either, because the ventilators are not good.
Right. I had not seen this statement here about Danny Presti. It looks like it just came out late last night or earlier today, but they're showing the video. I'm going to have to check this out. Oh, is this Grant City? I don't know what they're talking about here, but Andrew Cuomo and NYC Mayor Bill de Blasio are blasting the bar owner who refused to comply with COVID restrictions after an officer was dragged on a car. I don't think he was dragged on a car. He jumped onto the car.
He jumped on top of the hood of the car. He jumped on the hood of the car.
Ads.
You can see
it's always got to be ads. But yeah, he jumps on the hood of the car. I wonder, did he blast his brother when his brother was yelling at the biker in the Hamptons or wherever it was?
I saw that video. Oh, Fredo, fuckface Fredo, loved even when he had COVID. He was out there riding his bike without a mask on. Fuckface Fredo. Okay.
I think he also got a fine from his apartment building for not wearing a mask, and they gave him a $500 fine. Why didn't he blast his brother for that?
Right. No, he'll never do it. He talks down to people. He's exceeding and abusing his powers. That's the bottom line. And we, as a whole in New York, we the people are not going to take it anymore. I've had it. We have had it. This isn't about me. It's about we. We have had enough. Look at those two. Boom, boom. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, the Botsy twins, two dopes.
Yeah, like really? Remember when you were a kid? You used to ever hear the expression "biff someone in the forehead"? That's what you want to do when you see their faces. Boom, biff them right in the heads.
Of course, we're just joking. We're not advocating violence against anybody.
We're joking. Yes, we're joking.
And I want to make sure that people know that they can purchase Tina Forte merchandise by going to realtina40.com. These are great gifts for the holidays if there is a Trump supporter in your family or for yourself, or even if there is a Biden supporter who you want to irritate a little bit. These are perfect gifts. Stocking stuffers. And it all goes to help Tina and support her activism. She's doing amazing work, fantastic job in raising awareness and helping other people to stand up. This is what's important, Tina, because people see you and they say, wow, here's a mom, here's a grandmother. She's had enough. She's speaking out. She's using social media. She's using her voice. And you're an inspiration to other people. So I really want to thank you for taking time out of your day today and joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love when I see you in the street. I smile when I see you there. When I saw you down at the city, I was like, yo, look, Jason's here.
Yeah. Thank you. This is definitely not going to be your last appearance on the show. I'd love to have you back on. And I'm happy to help you figure out how to start a podcast or whatever it is that you want to do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And please get in touch with Carl Schwartz. He would love to come on and talk about
Absolutely. And I also want to make sure people know about his GoFundMe, because we've got to support. A lot of people want to support these legal efforts, and maybe they're not able to get a lawyer themselves or whatever, but people can go on to GoFundMe and look for this NOISE campaign, normalization of in-school education. It's a great way to support the effort and to be a part of it. The other thing I want to remind people about, and I got to get back to Michael about this, we had New York City public school teacher Michael Kane on just the other night, and he was telling me that there is an upcoming protest in my new second favorite borough, Staten Island, where they're going to be at the Department of Education, specifically protesting not just mandatory vaccinations, but teachers are being forced into mandatory testing And these tests are going to be administered by a company called Fulgen, which is a genetics company that keeps a database. So what they essentially are refusing to answer is whether or not the teacher's DNA will be stored in this database. And I don't know if this is true or just speculation. Somebody put a comment in on YouTube saying that, you know, if somebody has your DNA, and think about this, when we got onto Facebook, when we got onto Twitter, everybody thought this was a fun way to catch up with old friends from high school and stuff. But now these companies know so much about us, where we go, what we shop for, what we like, what we dislike. They can use this big data in, you know, quantum computers and supercomputers to figure out things about us that we might not even know about ourselves. Who knows what a company could do if they had your DNA, and if they've got a chip in your hand that tells them whether you've been vaccinated or not, and they have your DNA, what could they do to you with that information? So people are smart to want to guard their DNA, and I support Michael, and I support the New York Teachers for Choice. We're going to have more information about their upcoming protest in Staten Island, and if you're available, Tina, I think it would be great if you could be there.
Yeah, I will go if I know, if I let me know the date, and I'll
get
be
you
there.
the details from that.
Yeah, get me the details, please.
And also, people can follow Tina on Twitter. She is Real Tina 40, and she's tweeting
I just
a
hit
lot.
200,000 followers today. I just hit it today. I opened this up in June.
Amazing.
And I didn't even want to go on to Twitter. Everyone was like, get a Twitter, get a Twitter, get a Twitter. I was like, I don't know how to tweet.
Well, you're doing great. Doing great.
Thank you.
Tina 40, an absolutely wonderful inspiration to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me, Tina.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for watching. I want to thank the sponsors of Crowdsource the Truth who make this show possible. If you're not a sponsor, please go over to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I can't bring you great guests like Tina Forte without your support and sponsorship. So thanks everybody for